You are listening to an extended audio preview of Chaos Rituals for Every Purpose, written by Adam Lusum and published by LLH Media. The complete book is available from LLH Media and selected online retailers. Chapter 1, Introduction to Chaos Magick, Chaos Rituals for Every Purpose. Chapter 1, Introduction to Chaos Magick. Throughout history, the human pursuit of power, meaning, and transformation has taken many forms. Among the most enigmatic and controversial of these pursuits is the practice of magic. For centuries, magical traditions have woven themselves into the fabric of cultures across the globe, each system offering its own symbols, rituals, and philosophies. Yet, in the late 20th century, a new paradigm emerged that challenged the very foundations of magical thought. This paradigm, known as Chaos Magick, offered a radical approach: discard dogma, embrace flexibility, and recognize that belief itself is the most potent magical tool. Chaos magic, often called results-based or pragmatic magic, is a system that emphasizes personal experimentation, adaptability, and the deliberate manipulation of belief. Unlike traditional magical systems, which are often deeply rooted in specific mythologies, symbols, and practices, chaos magic invites practitioners to create their own rituals, borrow from multiple traditions, and even invent entirely new forms of magic suited to their individual needs. This chapter will explore the origins of chaos magic, its philosophical underpinnings, and the ways in which it diverges from the magical traditions that preceded it. The roots of chaos magic can be traced to the United Kingdom in the late 1970s and early 1980s. At this time, a small but influential group of occultists began to question the rigidity and dogmatism that seemed to pervade the Western magical revival. Many practitioners felt constrained by the elaborate rituals and strict hierarchies of established systems, such as the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn or the Ordo Templi Orientis. These systems, while rich in history and symbolism, often demanded years of study and strict adherence to prescribed methods. For some, this was a source of inspiration and discipline. For others, it was a stifling barrier to personal growth and direct experience. It was against this backdrop that figures such as Peter J. Carroll and Ray Sherwin began to articulate a new vision for magic. Drawing inspiration from contemporary developments in psychology, science, and art, they proposed a system that prioritized individual creativity, flexibility, and the pragmatic pursuit of results. In 1978, Carroll and Sherwin published the first issue of Liber Null, a foundational text that would come to define the chaos magic movement. This work, along with Sherwin's The Book of Results, laid out the core principles of chaos magic and provided practical instructions for aspiring practitioners. At its heart, chaos magic is founded on the idea that belief is a tool, not a truth. Traditional magical systems often assert that their symbols, gods, and rituals possess intrinsic power. Chaos magicians, by contrast, view these elements as arbitrary constructs, useful only insofar as they facilitate the desired psychological or material change. In other words, the effectiveness of a magical act is not determined by its adherence to tradition, but by the practitioner's ability to invest it with personal meaning and intent. This perspective is deeply influenced by developments in psychology and philosophy during the 20th century. The work of Swiss psychologist Carl Jung, with his theories of archetypes and the collective unconscious, provided a framework for understanding magical symbols as products of the human mind, rather than external realities. Similarly, the rise of existentialism and postmodern philosophy challenged the notion of objective truth, suggesting instead that meaning is constructed by individuals and societies. Chaos magic absorbed these ideas and applied them to the practice of magic, encouraging practitioners to treat beliefs as provisional, mutable, and ultimately under their conscious control. One of the most distinctive features of chaos magic is its emphasis on results. Whereas traditional magical systems often prioritize the preservation of ritual purity, lineage, or spiritual attainment, chaos magic is unapologetically pragmatic. The central question for a chaos magician is not, is this ritual authentic, but does this ritual produce the desired effect? This results-oriented approach has led chaos magicians to experiment freely with techniques borrowed from a wide array of sources, including ceremonial magic, shamanism, Eastern mysticism, psychology, and even pop culture. For example, a chaos magician might draw a sigil using traditional Western magical symbols, chant a mantra from Hinduism, and invoke a character from a comic book or film, all within the same ritual. To outsiders, such an approach might seem irreverent or even nonsensical. Yet within the chaos magic paradigm, the value of a symbol or technique lies not in its historical pedigree, but in its ability to focus the mind, alter consciousness, and bring about tangible change. By freeing themselves from the constraints of tradition, chaos magicians can tailor their practices to their own psychological needs, cultural backgrounds, and personal goals. This radical flexibility has sometimes led critics to dismiss chaos magic as superficial or unserious. However, proponents argue that it represents a return to the roots of magical practice, which has always been characterized by syncretism, innovation, and adaptation. Throughout history, magical traditions have borrowed and transformed symbols, rituals, and beliefs from neighboring cultures. The ancient Greeks adopted Egyptian deities, medieval alchemists fused Christian and Islamic esoteric teachings, and African diasporic religions blended indigenous, Catholic, and Spiritist elements. Chaos magic simply takes this process to its logical conclusion, making explicit what has often been implicit in the evolution of magic. Another defining characteristic of chaos magic is its focus on the altered states of consciousness. Like many magical traditions, chaos magic recognizes that the human mind is the primary medium through which magical effects are produced. Techniques such as meditation, visualization, trance, and sensory deprivation are commonly used to bypass the rational mind and access deeper layers of awareness. However, chaos magicians often approach these techniques with a spirit of experimentation, seeking out novel methods for disrupting habitual patterns of thought and perception. One of the most influential techniques developed within chaos magic is sigilization, a method for encoding desires into symbols and implanting them in the unconscious mind. First popularized by Austin Osman Spare, an early 20th century artist and occultist, sigil magic involves formulating a specific intention, reducing it to a unique symbol, and then charging the symbol through a state of heightened awareness, or Gnosis. The underlying principle is that the unconscious mind is more receptive to symbols than to verbal commands, and that by bypassing the critical faculties of the conscious mind, the magician can more effectively manifest their desires. This emphasis on psychological mechanisms distinguishes chaos magic from traditional systems that attribute magical power to external entities, spirits, or deities. While chaos magicians may choose to invoke gods, demons, or other supernatural beings, they typically do so with the understanding that these entities are constructs of the mind, useful fictions that facilitate psychological transformation. In this sense, chaos magic is as much a form of applied psychology as it is a spiritual discipline. Yet chaos magic is not merely a collection of techniques or a philosophy of belief. It is also a way of engaging with the world, a practice of creative play, radical skepticism, and conscious transformation. The chaos magician is encouraged to question all assumptions, experiment with different models of reality, and take responsibility for their own experiences. This attitude is encapsulated in the dictum, "Nothing is true, everything is permitted," a phrase often attributed, though likely erroneously, to the medieval Islamic mystic Hassani Sabah. In the context of chaos magic, this statement is not a license for nihilism or amorality, but an invitation to recognize the provisional nature of all beliefs and the freedom to choose one's own path. To understand how chaos magic differs from traditional magical systems, it is helpful to consider some of the core features of those systems. Traditional Western ceremonial magic, for example, is characterized by elaborate rituals, complex symbolism, and a hierarchical structure of initiation and attainment. Practitioners are often expected to memorize lengthy invocations, adhere to strict codes of conduct, and progress through a series of graded orders. The underlying assumption is that magical power is derived from the proper performance of ritual, the invocation of specific entities, and the maintenance of ritual purity. In contrast, chaos magic dispenses with much of this structure. There are no required oaths, no prescribed rituals, and no fixed hierarchy. Each practitioner is free to develop their own practices, adapt techniques to their own needs, and invent new forms of magic as they see fit. The only criterion for success is the achievement of the desired result. This egalitarian and experimental approach has made chaos magic particularly appealing to individuals who are skeptical of authority, dogma, or tradition. Another important distinction is the role of belief. In traditional systems, belief in the efficacy of ritual, the reality of spirits, or the power of symbols is often taken as a given. Doubt or skepticism is seen as an obstacle to success. Chaos magicians, by contrast, treat belief as a tool to be wielded consciously. They may choose to believe in a particular system or entity for the duration of a ritual, then discard that belief as soon as it ceases to be useful. This ability to shift beliefs at will is sometimes called paradigm shifting and is one of the hallmarks of chaos magic. Paradigm shifting allows chaos magicians to explore a wide range of magical systems without becoming trapped by any single worldview. A practitioner might experiment with the Kabbalah one month, Norse runes the next, and Lovecraftian mythology after that. Each system is treated as a set of tools or techniques, rather than as an absolute truth. This approach encourages a spirit of curiosity, play, and ongoing experimentation. Of course, this flexibility also presents certain challenges. Without the guidance of tradition, it can be difficult for newcomers to know where to begin or how to evaluate the effectiveness of their practices. Chaos Magic addresses this by encouraging practitioners to keep detailed journals, reflect critically on their experiences, and develop their own criteria for success. Rather than relying on external authorities, the Chaos Magician becomes their own teacher, judge, and initiator. This emphasis on self-reliance is both empowering and demanding. Chaos Magic requires a willingness to take responsibility for one's own beliefs, actions, and outcomes. There are no guarantees, no dogmas to hide behind, and no external authorities to provide validation. Success or failure depends entirely on the practitioner's creativity, discipline, and honesty with themselves. For some, this is liberating. For others, it can be daunting. It is important to note that chaos magic is not inherently atheistic or materialistic. While some chaos magicians adopt a purely psychological model of magic, others maintain a belief in spirits, gods, or other supernatural forces. The key difference is that chaos magicians treat these beliefs as provisional and subject to change. They may choose to work with a deity or entity because it produces effective results, not because they believe in its objective existence. In this sense, chaos magic occupies a unique position between skepticism and faith, embracing both as tools for transformation. Another area in which chaos magic differs from traditional systems is its attitude toward ethics and morality. Traditional magical systems often incorporate codes of conduct, taboos, or ethical guidelines derived from religious or cultural sources. Chaos magic, by contrast, places the responsibility for ethical decision-making squarely on the individual practitioner. There are no universal rules or commandments. Each magician must decide for themselves what is right or wrong, based on their own values and the consequences of their actions. This ethical relativism has led some critics to accuse chaos magic of promoting amorality or irresponsibility. However, most chaos magicians recognize that actions have consequences, both for themselves and for others. The absence of external authority does not absolve the practitioner of responsibility. Rather, it demands a higher degree of self-awareness and critical reflection. In practice, many chaos magicians adopt ethical guidelines that emphasize personal integrity, respect for others, and the pursuit of self-knowledge. The difference is that these guidelines are chosen consciously rather than imposed by tradition. Chaos magic also stands out for its embrace of contemporary culture and technology. Whereas traditional systems often look to the past for inspiration, chaos magicians are unafraid to incorporate elements from modern art, science fiction, psychology, and popular media into their practices. The use of fictional characters, pop culture icons, or digital technology in rituals is not uncommon. For example, a chaos magician might perform a ritual invoking the archetype of a superhero, use computer-generated signals, or incorporate elements of cyberpunk aesthetics into their magical work. This willingness to engage with the present moment reflects a broader trend in chaos magic toward adaptability and innovation. The world is constantly changing, and chaos magicians seek to develop practices that are relevant to their own time and place. By integrating new symbols, ideas, and technologies, they keep their magic alive, dynamic, and responsive to the shifting currents of culture and consciousness. In summary, chaos magic represents a radical departure from the traditional approaches to magic that have dominated Western esotericism for centuries. Its origins lie in a desire to break free from dogma, hierarchy, and ritual rigidity, and to develop a system of magic that is flexible, pragmatic, and tailored to the individual. At its core is the recognition that belief is not a fixed truth, but a tool that can be wielded consciously to effect change. By encouraging experimentation, paradigm shifting, and personal responsibility, Chaos Magick offers a path that is both liberating and challenging. For those who are drawn to magic but feel constrained by tradition, Chaos Magick provides a framework for creative exploration and self-transformation. It invites practitioners to question everything, experiment with new forms, and develop their own unique approach to the art of magic. In the chapters that follow, we will explore the practical techniques, rituals, and applications of Chaos Magick, offering guidance for those who wish to harness its power for every purpose. Whether you are a seasoned occultist or a curious newcomer, Chaos Magick offers a toolkit for navigating the uncertainties of life, mastering the art of belief, and shaping your own reality. As we embark on this journey, it is worth remembering that Chaos Magick is not a destination, but a process, a continual unfolding of possibility, creativity, and discovery. The only limits are those you choose to accept. The only truths are those you create. In the world of Chaos Magick, you are both the magician and the magic, the creator and the created. Welcome to the dance of chaos, where everything is permitted and nothing is forbidden. Chapter 2: Foundations of Ritual Work. Rituals have accompanied humanity since the dawn of consciousness. From the flickering fires of our earliest ancestors to the complex ceremonies of modern religions, ritual has served as a bridge between the known and the unknown, the mundane and the transcendent. In Chaos Magick, ritual is not a relic of tradition, but a living, adaptive technology for personal transformation. To harness its power, we must first understand its foundational components: intention, symbolism, and the cultivation of altered states of consciousness. These elements form the backbone of effective ritual work, regardless of tradition or belief system. At its core, ritual is an intentional act designed to create change. This change may be internal, such as the cultivation of courage or clarity, or external, such as the attainment of a desired outcome in the world. The effectiveness of any ritual hinges on the clarity and strength of the practitioner's intention. Intention is more than a vague wish or passing fancy. It is a focused, deliberate aim, a clear statement of what you seek to accomplish through your actions. Without intention, ritual becomes empty performance, a hollow shell devoid of power. The process of setting intention begins with self-examination. Before constructing a ritual, it is crucial to ask yourself what you truly desire. This may seem simple, but it often requires peeling back layers of social conditioning, fear, and self-doubt. Many people approach ritual with intentions borrowed from others, societal expectations, inherited beliefs, or the influence of popular culture. True intention arises from within, shaped by your authentic needs, values, and aspirations. It may help to write down your intention in a single, affirmative sentence, such as "I intend to cultivate greater confidence in social situations," or "I seek to attract new opportunities for creative expression." This statement becomes the anchor for your ritual, guiding the selection of symbols, actions, and altered states that will bring your intention to life. Once intention is established, the next foundational element is symbolism. Human beings are inherently symbolic creatures. We use language, images, gestures, and objects to convey meaning, both consciously and unconsciously. In ritual, symbolism serves as the language of the subconscious mind, providing a bridge between the rational intellect and the deeper layers of psyche, where true transformation occurs. Every aspect of a ritual, tools, colors, movements, words, and even the layout of space, can carry symbolic meaning. The selection of symbols is a deeply personal process in Chaos Magick. Unlike traditional systems that prescribe fixed correspondences, such as the color red for passion or roses for love, Chaos magicians are encouraged to choose symbols that resonate with their own experiences and associations. For one person, a feather might represent freedom and lightness. For another, it might evoke memories of flight or ancestral heritage. The power of a symbol lies not in its objective qualities, but in its subjective impact on the practitioner. This flexibility is a hallmark of Chaos Magick, allowing rituals to be tailored to the unique psychological landscape of each individual. To select effective symbols, begin by reflecting on your intention. What images, objects, or actions naturally arise when you contemplate your goal? Trust your intuition and personal history. You might recall a childhood memory, a powerful dream, or a meaningful encounter that encapsulates the essence of your intention. These associations can be woven into your ritual, through the use of physical objects such as stones, photographs or heirlooms, visualizations, or creative acts, such as drawing, singing, or dancing. The more emotionally charged and personally significant a symbol is, the greater its potential to facilitate transformation. Ritual symbolism need not be elaborate or esoteric. Everyday objects can become potent tools when imbued with meaning. A simple cup of water can symbolize purification, renewal, or emotional healing. A key might represent new opportunities or the unlocking of hidden potential. Even the arrangement of space, such as the creation of a circle or the placement of objects at the 4 cardinal points, can carry symbolic weight, shaping the flow of energy and attention during the ritual. Beyond intention and symbolism, the third foundational component of ritual work is the cultivation of altered states of consciousness. Ritual is not merely a sequence of actions performed in ordinary awareness, it is a gateway to expanded perception and heightened receptivity. Altered states of consciousness, sometimes referred to as Gnosis in Chaos Magick, are states in which the habitual chatter of the mind is quieted and the boundaries of self and world become more fluid. In these states, the subconscious mind becomes more accessible, and the seeds of intention can take root and grow. There are many methods for inducing altered states, ranging from the subtle to the dramatic. Meditation, rhythmic breathing, chanting, drumming, dance, fasting, and sensory deprivation are all traditional techniques for shifting consciousness. In Chaos Magick, the choice of method is determined by the preferences and needs of the practitioner. What matters is not the specific technique, but the result, a temporary suspension of ordinary thought patterns and an openness to new possibilities. One of the most common methods for entering an altered state is focused attention. By concentrating intensely on a single object, word, or image, the mind's usual distractions are set aside, and a state of absorption is achieved. This can be accomplished through staring at a candle flame, repeating a mantra, or visualizing a symbol associated with your intention. Over time, this focused attention can lead to a trance-like state in which the boundaries between self and symbol begin to dissolve. Conversely, some practitioners use the method of inhibitory gnosis, which involves quieting the mind to the point of near stillness. Meditation practices that emphasize breath awareness or body scanning can be effective here. The goal is to create a blank slate, a receptive space in which new patterns can be imprinted. This state is often characterized by a sense of calm, spaciousness, and detachment from ordinary concerns. Excitatory gnosis, on the other hand, involves the deliberate arousal of intense emotion or energy. This can be achieved through vigorous movement, ecstatic dance, sexual arousal, or group chanting. The surge of energy generated in these practices can break through psychological barriers and open the mind to new possibilities. In this heightened state, intention and symbolism can penetrate deeply, catalyzing profound change. It is important to note that altered states of consciousness are not inherently supernatural or mystical. They are natural capacities of the human mind, accessible to anyone with practice and intention. Modern neuroscience has shown that practices such as meditation and rhythmic breathing can alter brainwave patterns, reduce stress, and enhance creativity. In the context of ritual, these states serve as the fertile ground in which the seeds of intention and symbolism can grow. The interplay of intention, symbolism, and altered states forms the foundation of effective ritual work. Each element supports and amplifies the others. Intention provides direction and purpose. Symbolism gives form and meaning. Altered states create the conditions for transformation. When these components are aligned, ritual becomes a powerful tool for change, capable of reshaping both inner experience and outer reality. Let us consider an example to illustrate how these elements come together in practice. Imagine a practitioner who wishes to overcome a persistent fear of public speaking. The first step is to clarify the intention. I intend to speak confidently and clearly in front of others. Next, the practitioner selects symbols that resonate with this goal. A lion figurine to represent courage, a feather to symbolize lightness and ease, and a blue candle for calm communication. The ritual space is arranged with these objects, and a simple script is prepared. Lighting the candle, holding the lion figurine, and reciting an affirmation of confidence. To induce an altered state, the practitioner spends several minutes in rhythmic breathing, focusing attention on the flame of the candle. As the mind quiets, the symbols are engaged. The lion is held tightly, the feather is brushed across the skin, and the affirmation is spoken aloud. In this state of focused absorption, the intention is impressed upon the subconscious, and the ritual concludes with a gesture of gratitude and closure. This example demonstrates that ritual need not be elaborate to be effective. What matters is the alignment of intention, the personal resonance of symbols, and the cultivation of an altered state. Together, these elements create a container for transformation, a space in which new possibilities can take root. It is worth noting that ritual is not a guarantee of immediate or dramatic change. Like any form of personal work, it requires patience, persistence, and self-reflection. The effects of ritual may unfold gradually, as subtle shifts in perception, behavior, or circumstance. Over time, repeated ritual practice can rewire habitual patterns, deepen self-awareness, and foster a sense of agency in shaping one's life. In Chaos Magick, the emphasis is on experimentation and adaptability. There are no fixed rules or dogmas. Each practitioner is encouraged to discover what works best for them. This spirit of inquiry extends to the foundational components of ritual. You may find that certain symbols evoke stronger emotional responses, or that particular methods of inducing altered states are more effective for you. Keep a journal of your experiences, noting what resonates and what falls flat. Over time, you will develop a personal toolkit of techniques and symbols that form the basis of your ritual practice. One of the unique contributions of Chaos Magick is its recognition of the psychological dimensions of ritual. Rather than appealing to external powers or fixed cosmologies, chaos magicians view ritual as a means of engaging and reshaping the structures of the mind. Intention becomes a tool for focusing will, symbolism becomes a language for communicating with the subconscious, altered states become gateways to new patterns of thought and behavior. In this sense, ritual is both art and science, a creative exploration of the inner landscape and a disciplined practice of self-transformation. This psychological approach does not preclude the possibility of external change. Many practitioners report tangible effects in their lives as a result of ritual work, improved relationships, career opportunities, or the resolution of long-standing problems. Whether these changes are the result of psychological shifts, synchronicity, or some other mechanism is ultimately a matter of personal interpretation. What matters is that ritual provides a structured means of engaging with desire, meaning, and change. As you begin to explore ritual work, it is helpful to approach the process with an attitude of curiosity and playfulness. The seriousness of intention need not preclude a sense of wonder or experimentation. Try different symbols, methods, and settings. Notice how your mind and body respond. Allow yourself to be surprised by the unexpected insights and experiences that arise. At the same time, ritual demands a certain level of commitment and integrity. The act of setting aside time, preparing space, and engaging in deliberate action signals to the subconscious mind that something important is taking place. Treat your rituals with respect, even if they are simple or unconventional. Over time, this attitude of reverence will infuse your practice with depth and potency. Another key aspect of effective ritual work is the management of expectation. It is natural to hope for immediate results, but ritual operates on both conscious and unconscious levels. Sometimes the effects are subtle, manifesting as a shift in mood, perspective, or motivation. At other times, they may emerge unexpectedly, as if by coincidence or synchronicity. Trust the process and be patient with yourself as you develop your skills. One potential pitfall in ritual work is the tendency to become overly attached to outcomes. While it's important to clarify your intention, it is equally important to maintain a sense of openness and flexibility. The outcome of a ritual may not always align with your initial expectations, and the process itself may reveal new desires or insights. By remaining open to the unfolding of experience, you create space for genuine transformation to occur. The foundations of ritual work, intention, symbolism, and altered states, are not unique to Chaos Magick. They are found in spiritual and psychological traditions around the world, from shamanic ceremonies to modern psychotherapy. What distinguishes Chaos Magick is its emphasis on personal meaning, adaptability, and direct experience. There is no need to adopt foreign beliefs or rituals unless they resonate with you. The only requirement is a willingness to engage with your own mind and experience in a deliberate, creative way. As you continue your exploration, you may wish to experiment with different forms of ritual. Some practitioners prefer solitary rituals conducted in private and tailored to their own needs. Others find value in group rituals, where the collective energy and shared intention can amplify the effects. Both approaches have their merits, and you may find that your preferences change over time. In group rituals, the process of establishing shared intention and symbolism becomes especially important. Take time to discuss and agree upon the purpose of the ritual, the symbols to be used, and the methods for inducing altered states. Clear communication and mutual respect are essential for creating a safe and effective ritual space. Group rituals can be powerful experiences, fostering a sense of connection, support, and collective transformation. Whether working alone or with others, the process of ritual can be broken down into several basic stages: preparation, induction, enactment, and closure. Preparation involves clarifying intention, selecting symbols, and arranging the ritual space. Induction refers to the methods used to enter an altered state of consciousness. Enactment is the performance of symbolic actions that embody the intention. Closure brings the ritual to an end, signaling a return to ordinary awareness and integrating the experience. Each of these stages offers opportunities for creativity and personalization. In the preparation phase, you might choose to clean and organize your space, take a ritual bath, or meditate on your intention. During induction, you can experiment with different techniques for shifting consciousness: breathwork, music, visualization, or movement. The enactment phase is where the heart of the ritual takes place, through the use of words, gestures, objects, or creative expression. Closure might involve a gesture of gratitude, the extinguishing of a candle, or a few moments of reflection. By breaking the ritual process into stages, you can approach each component with clarity and intention. This structure provides a framework within which creativity can flourish, ensuring that each element serves the overall purpose of the ritual. It is also helpful to reflect on the role of belief in ritual work. Chaos magic is often described by the maxim "belief is a tool." Rather than treating belief as a fixed or absolute truth, chaos magicians view it as a flexible instrument to be adopted or discarded as needed. This approach allows for a playful and pragmatic engagement with ritual. You do not need to believe in supernatural forces or external entities for ritual to be effective. What matters is the willingness to engage fully with the process, to suspend disbelief long enough to allow for transformation to occur. This attitude of flexible belief can be liberating, freeing you from the constraints of dogma or skepticism. It invites you to experiment with different symbols, narratives, and practices, adopting what works and discarding what does not. You may find that your sense of belief becomes more fluid, responsive to your own experience, rather than dictated by external authority. As you deepen your ritual practice, you may encounter moments of resistance, doubt, or discomfort. These are natural parts of the process, signaling the presence of habitual patterns or limiting beliefs that are being challenged. Rather than avoiding or suppressing these feelings, welcome them as opportunities for growth. Reflect on their origins, and consider how your ritual practice might address or transform them. Remember that ritual is not about perfection or performance. It is a living, evolving practice, shaped by your own needs, desires, and discoveries. Allow yourself to make mistakes, to experiment, to learn from experience. Over time, you will develop a ritual practice that is uniquely your own, grounded in the foundational components of intention, symbolism, and altered states of consciousness. In summary, the foundations of ritual work in chaos magic are simple, yet profound. Intention provides the driving force, focusing your will and desire. Symbolism gives shape and meaning to your actions, engaging the subconscious mind. Altered states of consciousness create the conditions for transformation, opening the door to new possibilities. By understanding and integrating these components, you unlock the power of ritual as a tool for personal change and creative exploration. As you embark on your journey of ritual work, remember that you are both the architect and the explorer. The structures you build are shaped by your own intention and imagination, and the landscapes you traverse are the hidden realms of your own mind. Approach the process with curiosity, respect, and a spirit of adventure. In doing so, you join a lineage of seekers who have used ritual to navigate the mysteries of existence, to heal, to create, and to transform. The path of chaos ritual is ultimately a path of empowerment. It invites you to take responsibility for your own experience, to shape your reality through deliberate action and creative engagement. By mastering the foundations of ritual work, You equip yourself with the tools to navigate the chaos of life with intention, meaning, and presence. The journey begins with a single step, the conscious decision to engage with the world as both magician and creator. Chapter 3: Tools and Materials, What You Really Need. The world of ritual magic is filled with elaborate implements, ornate chalices, exotic incense, and arcane symbols drawn with painstaking precision. For many, these tools are a comforting bridge to the ineffable, a way to channel focus and intent. Yet for the modern chaos magician, the relationship to tools and materials is far less rigid. The central philosophy of chaos magic is that belief itself is the tool, and all else is secondary. This perspective invites a radical minimalism and improvisation, freeing the practitioner from the tyranny of tradition and the expense of magical paraphernalia. In this chapter, we will explore what you truly need to perform effective chaos rituals, how to improvise with what you have, and why the most potent tool is often your own imagination. Let us begin by acknowledging the allure of ritual tools. The smell of incense curling through the air, the flicker of candlelight, the feel of a weighty dagger in the hand. These sensory experiences can be deeply evocative. They help signal to the mind that something special is about to occur, that the ordinary world is falling away and the liminal space of magic is opening. For many, these tools are not just props but catalysts, helping to trigger the altered states necessary for successful magic. However, chaos magic challenges us to ask, are these tools truly necessary? Or can we strip away the trappings and still achieve powerful results? At the heart of chaos magic is the concept that belief is a tool. This means that the effectiveness of any ritual implement lies not in its objective qualities, but in the meaning the magician assigns to it. A silver chalice is not inherently more magical than a coffee mug. What matters is the intent and belief invested in the object. This realization is profoundly liberating. It breaks the spell of magical consumerism, in which one is led to believe that more or better tools will lead to greater success. Instead, the chaos magician is encouraged to use whatever is at hand, to improvise, adapt, and even create symbolic tools from pure imagination. Minimalism in ritual is not simply about using fewer objects. It is about distilling the practice down to its essential elements, focusing on what truly matters, the alignment of will, belief, and action. This approach has several practical advantages. First, it removes barriers to entry. Anyone, anywhere can practice chaos magic without needing to purchase expensive or rare items. Second, it encourages creativity and flexibility. The chaos magician is not bound by the prescriptions of tradition, but is free to invent, reinterpret, and repurpose. Third, it fosters a deeper understanding of the psychological mechanisms at work in ritual. You have been listening to an extended preview of Chaos_Rituals for Every Purpose. To continue reading, visit the LLH Media Store or the book's Amazon listing.